Hello, welcome back to Property Spy. This is the channel where we appraise properties, we look at deals coming in the market, or we look at deals on the market, and we discuss the different strategies an investor can go through in order to purchase those deals and to add those deals to their portfolios. Now, we use a tool called valapp. Valapp is our tool of choice because it tells me how much I should pay for a property based on the different criteria that I've pre-selected whilst going through my appraisal process. Now today I've decided that we should look at what the beginner investor would essentially go through if they're looking for deals sub £50,000. Now the first thing I did was, on this one, I went to Rightmove. Now sometimes you've got to have that discussion with yourself as to what a deal is. A lot of people are not sure what to classify as a deal. Some people are sure of what they want, but they can't purchase what they want. They can't afford to purchase what they want. So today, let's look at those who've got minimal amount to spend, or who just want to spend as little as possible in order to get a deal. Now, it's unlikely you'd be able to purchase a development deal or purchase a buy-to-let at that level in the southeast. There are other parts of the country where you should be able to purchase houses for £50,000. But the first thing to do is, okay, so £50,000 is our budget, right? Okay, why £50,000? That's all we have. So we go to Rightmove. Let's see what we'd find. I've already shown you a glimpse of what I found searching for stuff that's sub £50,000. So go to Rightmove. So this is just to show you how you can do it for yourself. So Rightmove, you type in Kent, you type for sale, and then you go find properties. Ooh, 315,000. Don't be afraid. 10 million. Don't be afraid. Ooh, let's see what this looks like. 10 million. What does 10 million get you in Kent? Distraction. Okay, huge abode. Imagine what the heating is like in this building. How much would you pay a month if you had the bottom? Rightmove kindly does a quick calculation. So if you had to put down a 10% deposit for this £10 million property, that's 1 million for your deposit. Interest rate of 2.8% for 25 years, you'd be paying £41,000 every calendar month. That's greater than a lot of people's monthly yearly wage. It does look nice. Ooh, that's beautiful. Okay, so let's stop dreaming and go back to the results. So what do you do for your sub £50,000 search? So you list by lowest price, then it will show you the list from the bottom. Ignore this one at the top. It's a featured property, so the agents probably paid a bit of money to highlight this property to you, but this is more what we're looking for. So this is £1. It's a plot. It's unlikely to be developable, so we ignore that one. We'll keep going. So all these plots of land, they most likely do not have any development value at this stage. If they're near to town, you may want to purchase and just wait, but that's dead money for now. So here, what's this? £5,000 to be sold at an auction. What's this? There's a studio for over 30 years, one story, long lease itself. Okay, so this one's an auction property going to the market on the 17th. It's in a few days' time. Okay, so the guide price is 5,000, but it's an auction, so it will be bid up. There's no floor plan, so we can't really tell the size. The property is currently a non-self storeroom. So this is the storeroom then, not studio. So perhaps they selected studio because there was no option for a storeroom. So again, it's probably worth mentioning that you need to look at the particulars quite carefully. So it seems to me that this is what's being sold. Just a storeroom for £5,000. Okay, that's not what we want, because we don't know what we'll do with 5,000 with a storeroom. So we want something that we can earn money from. So £5,000 land for sale. Right, so you've got, so this is land that will be subdivided and it starts with 5,000. So we don't want that one. This one's another sale. Okay, so what's two bedroom? Dublin. So what's for sale here? It says an apartment 5 times. I think there's an issue with this. 15 and 15A for £8,000. I don't believe. And there isn't any further information. Let's see what legal document. Okay, price option. No legal document. Right. So that one's not. We don't have full information for it. So this is what you have to do for any chosen area. You've got this one, garages, £10,000 here. So you could say, well, I could buy these garages and rent them out for £9,500 and see what you get. These are garages as well. So these are the types of things you'd be finding at the sub 15 grand level. This one's selling land, freehold site, planning consent for a new building. Oh, okay. It's not bad. Oh, it's an auction as well. So some of these lower price properties tend to be in auction, and the price set is really to get you into the auction, and then you'll be bidding with others. Okay, so which one are we interested in? Now, the one I was interested in is this one, 30 grand. Okay, let's look at it. It says it's an apartment. It's not in auction, and it's £30,000 for a student pod. A student pod, and it says a tenant is in situ for 5,856. Boom. All right. So you've got a tenant already, 5,856. The price is 30 grand. What's there not to like? So straight away you're making a decent. Let's see what the yield is on that. So it's 5,856 divided by 30,000. Yeah. So 19%, almost 20% yield. That's not bad. That is not bad at all. Okay, now couple of things to see or to observe are £30,000, and then do I have it here at £40,000? And they got £40,000. What's the difference between this one and this one? Also, have a look at here. The last time it was reduced was in July 2021. Yeah, so that's about 7 months ago. So 7 months ago, they reduced it to 40 grand here, and then on here, it's the same property. So 30,000 here, 20,000. 40,000 here. That's interesting. This one didn't have a tenant in situ, so it might be two separate properties sold through the same agent. Okay, so there must be a reason why. So again, it's another thing to look out for. Why do you have two properties, priced differently? Perhaps if you went in and you offered on the 40 grand, then suddenly the seller has made 10 grand extra just because you didn't search for other properties in the area that will be of a similar price. Now, if you went for this one, 40 grand, and this one's saying our guide price is 65 to 70. What do you get? Now, I'll put a link to one of my other videos where we looked at one of these types of properties that went to auction and the different charges that you'd incur just by owning a pod in a student building. So with this one, you don't own the freehold, so there will be service charge to pay, certainly. I don't think you have your ensuite shower, but the kitchen is shared and the living area is shared. As the landlord, you'd have to pay towards the kitchen, maintenance of the kitchen and the social living area. And if this building has a lift in it, you'd have to pay towards that. So these are costs you need to bear in mind. Now, this has shown the level of rent you'd be expecting there, and that's roughly 400 and something pounds. Let's go back to the calculator. Let's see, it says 5856 divided by 12, so that's 488 per month, and that's not too bad in terms of returns. Now, questions to ask yourself would be, if I purchase this, would I be able to benefit from the capital appreciation? A lot of investors invest purely for capital appreciation. Okay, how much capital appreciation is there likely to be in this building? What works would the landlord or freeholder need to do in order to maintain the building? And then you also need to look at the competition. Now let's go back to Rightmove. This one you don't need valapp to do anything. These are all searches you can do without valapp. So we'll go back to Canterbury, go back to rent. Let's find properties, and then we'll start from the bottom. Okay, so newest listed. Let's go with lowest price. Change that. Okay, so you've got student accommodation at 260 per calendar month. Right. Obviously, that building looks much better than this one. So it's likely you'd be justified charging what you're charging. Besides, you have a tenant in situ. You need to look at the length of that tenancy and if that tenant is likely to renew or extend for another year. This studenttenant.com seems to be quite a common name in this area for student rent. So there's certainly some people you can phone up to ask what the general price in the area is like, and ask what the area this particular property we're considering is in. So keep looking. Okay, 340. Remember, we started at 260. It's probably one of the worst rooms in the Canterbury, but it's still one of the student accommodations, and that's what you'd be competing with. So 350. They're all rooms in the house. The students will be sharing. Yours is obviously, or this one we're looking at is obviously a better proposition than that. This one might compete a bit, but the building looks a bit ugly. I think students like nice looking buildings for their friends, and aesthetically better when it's at that price. But if they struggle with the rent, then these other properties are right there to take up your as your competition. So still looking at 380. Yeah, we're on page 3. So you are competing with these guys, right? And you're at 488. So you're £100 more expensive than these other flats. Why are you £100 more expensive? And would you be able to maintain that in the long run? That's where you need to speak to the local agents. These student tenant don't compete. Help. The owners of the building might be able to help you find student, or you go direct to the university. So Canterbury is a beautiful place, but the students, some of them tend to have small pockets. So what's this one? This one's student property, couples work on Wi-Fi, £800. So you do have a range. I'd imagine this property would command that, otherwise they wouldn't advertise at that price point. So we'll keep going. Okay, so I'm trying to get us to the point where we match what the current student is paying for that property, and a lot of these are house shares. Okay, still looking. Okay. 10. I think we're going for a while like this, but we have now about 7 pages of your competition, and it doesn't show any sign of ending. Okay, so question to ask yourself: am I prepared to come into this market, offer something as a better proposition to the students, and have my property rent out pretty quickly if my tenant leaves, or when my tenant leaves? Because obviously end of the student year or calendar year or educational year, the student will leave for summer, and you have your empty building or empty property, then you have to get it ready for the following academic year. So these are things to consider. But to say there are no deals, or there's nothing you can do for sub £50,000 isn't entirely true. There are different things you can invest in. Now, why would this be a good investment for anybody? Obviously, this is not financial advice or any sort of advice. It's just for educational purposes and to help one think about other things other than the building itself. Now, if you put down £30,000 on this property and assume you're able to get a mortgage to finance it, then you are making 400 and something odd pounds from it before you've deducted your costs. So we do need to understand what those costs are to work out how much you end up with, because that's the most important thing. How much do you end up with in your pocket, and is it worth it? If the answer to that question is yes, you're happy with the yield, you're happy with what ends up in your pocket, then it's a deal. The next question might be, would I go for this type of property? And I'll say no, because I'm particularly interested in the capital appreciation, and not everyone's interested. But capital appreciation, what do you really own when you have that? And then if I wanted to sell quickly, could I easily sell that property quickly? And on the evidence, I don't think you could. We're in a time when property prices are shooting up and up and up, and that particular property has been on the market for 6-7 months and it's not shifted. And then you have competition. In every student area, you will have competition. You just have to offer something that's better than most. Like this red one. It's nice, it looks nice. It's visually appealing, and students will click on it to see what it's like, at the very least. So compared to everything else, you'd click on that one. The facade of the building is better than most of the buildings we've seen, sub £500. So it's worth it from that perspective. You have a bit of an advantage. But without the capital appreciation, it makes it a difficult proposition. But if you go back to here and we look at what the mortgage is likely to be on that, £126. So you put down £3,000 deposit, £126 is what you pay per month, and this is on a repayment basis. So in 25 years you'd have cleared that mortgage, and then on that you're getting £488. Yeah. So if you have £488, your mortgage 126. Yeah, you end up with £362. Assuming you pay a cost of £200 a month, could be more, I'm just assuming here. So you have £162 profit per month. So it's not a disaster, but in terms of building a portfolio, something that you can look back on in a few years time, 10-20 years time, and say, okay, this has appreciated, inflation has made the price go up in nominal terms, and it's time to cash in. How easily would you be able to cash in? And then this is leasehold. Obviously there will be some leasehold charges to pay. Now think about the best strategy to employ. I think some other options to look at would be those garages that we saw at the beginning of the video. Some of those may actually yield you this £162 return. You may not be able to finance it through a bank, but you might get better returns on your money if you bought the garages in the right place. So if you have sold £50,000, do not despair. There are things you can do. Some people invest through the crowd and get some returns on that. So there are other options, but there are things you can do even with sold £50,000. So if you need help finding any deals, any properties that you want to invest in and you're clear on your strategy, or you need help identifying the strategy for yourself, get in touch with the folks at Valapp, and they would do what they can to handhold you and to help you find that next opportunity. Thank you so much for listening. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments, and happy investing.